And welcome to Teach Me Bees. I'm your host, Dave Wescott. I've got with me this morning co-host Scott the Beekeeper. Good morning,
Hello,
Scott.
hello, hello. Welcome in.
Welcome in. Can you hear me okay? Is my mic jamming? Am I buzzing around your ear the way that I should be?
You're buzzing like a bee. You're good, you know?
There you
Uh,
go.
for
There
for
you
those
go.
listening, it might sound a little different. Dave is remote today, so
That's right,
enjoy the
I'm remote
episode.
today.
Yep.
I got attacked by varroa mites.
Something like that.
I got attacked by varroa mites and they tried to kill me.
Yeah, you had to get the antibiotics to fight
I
back.
had to get those antibiotics in me. I had to get that. What is that?
Like a
Gosh, what an interesting show we had yesterday. With the feral queens grabbing feral queens
yep,
um, you know,
the
out of
wilderness.
the wilderness, and then bringing them back, and these feral queens live and survive all winter. That was an amazing show on bees.
Yep. That's one
That
of the
was
better ones.
probably one of my favorite shows we've ever done.
Yep, go back and listen to it. For those of you who maybe skipped it, it's well worth your time.
Did that one go live yesterday?
Yes, it would be the previous episode that went out before this. So,
Oh yeah. Oh, so the one we recorded yesterday actually went live.
well, yeah, yes. By the time this
It's
comes out,
it
yes.
it's going live next Thursday.
Yes. And then this will come
Okay.
out after
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Because we're always one behind. Listen. So now you know a little bit about our trade secrets. We've shared a little bit of our secret sauce,
The secrets are
with
out.
you, and that's the way to do it. That's a good way to go. Yeah, that was such a great deal. But listen, I want to let you know that I'm. Can you see what that cup says?
Worker bee. I like it. For
That's
those
right. That's
listening, he's
how.
got a coffee cup that says worker bee on it.
Look at that.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Where'd you get that?
Oh, I'm just playing around having some custom mugs made, for the B store. So I figured, hey, might as well have this made and,
Try it out, huh?
have my little cup of,
That's cool.
Energizer with it.
That's cool. I like it.
Because,
Stay.
I'm all about marketing right here. This is
Yeah.
my, Get Plowed hat that I love. It's beautiful. So anyway, that's what it's all about. But today we're really talking about winter to spring in beekeeping, and what does that look like from a beekeeper, and
Mm-hmm.
how do we make that transition? And it's always a scary transition, I feel like, even in talking to lots of beekeepers and hanging out with beekeepers and all the things we do, it seems like, you know, gentleman we were talking to yesterday, like he seemed to have no problem saying, well, I've got 60 hives today, but when I come out of winter, I might have 40,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
It's an important time. Based on where maybe you're at geographically, you're gonna come out of winter and move into spring at a different time. But like for us in Washington, specifically Western Washington, hopefully we're saying goodbye to a little bit of moisture, adding a little bit more, and hopefully moving into a nicer weather. Our March April is wet though. April showers bring May flowers. You know, which
And
is
flowers are good for
great
the
for
bees.
pollination,
Flowers are good for the bees.
but we got to get through that wet season first. But like other guests, where maybe it's snowy or drier, like they won't have some of those challenges that we'll have. Um, Looks like we got another little guest on the podcast. You want to say hi?
You want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi.
Say I love bees.
I love you.
There you go. There you go. We got a little baby bee on the show today.
That's right. That's right. This is Dave's son, everybody. How old are you?
7.
7. And what's your name for all those listening?
You can say it.
David.
David. 7-year-old David takes after his dad. He's got the Get Plowed hat. He's just waiting for his stardom in the podcasting world here. It's good to see you, David.
There you go. He likes to give hugs,
Yeah.
as you can tell. So yeah, this is an exciting time of year. This is an exciting time of year. So
It's important.
and we're about to see a lot of bees in our little field too. So not little, but our big field. So, we're doing a lot of prep work too. We're getting boxes built up. We're getting boxes painted. We're getting
Yep.
boxes spray painted. We're getting
Pallets
all
are building.
sorts of fabric out. We're getting crushed rock down. We're getting pallets built. I mean, there's a lot of preparation that goes into coming out of wintertime and doing it successfully.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those listening, once it kind of gets routinely above 50 degrees, I'd say it's safe to look into your hive. You can kind of judge maybe what's going on, but it definitely needs to be probably above 60 consistently before I would say start pulling any frames out and expecting anything. And be mindful of the weather, right? If it's windy and rainy still, don't get in there. They can wait. But it's typically this time, February into March, depending on where your bees are at, where they're not going to have a lot of food. They may have run out of their winter stores, and so you're going to have to probably feed them some supplemental feed to kind of get them through the end of winter into the early spring, when then they can kind of fly out and go do their pollination. So this is an important time to not let your bees die because you're unaware. That's one of the biggest reasons that bees don't make it through the winter, is this last little bit that isn't weather related. It's just lack of food, and they starve.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a bummer.
And we don't want that.
No, you don't want to starve to death. Starving is a very horrible thing.
That's right.
Okay,
I don't know.
Starving is a tough thing.
I don't know if you've ever fasted before, but fasting for a day can be challenging. I couldn't imagine starving. That'd be pretty bad.
Bad. Fasting is a good thing. Fasting is good for you.
It's good practice.
It's good for your prayer journey.
Yep, good for you holistically.
It's good for prayer. It's good to get you close to God.
Yeah.
And
so
that's an important thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Around this time of year, I would say, are your bees active? Look around at your hives. Are you seeing them come out? Have you seen them come out? For us right now, oddly enough, it was kind of frozen temperatures this morning, but broadly, it's been kind of in the upper 40s lately. It's moving to the 50s. We should begin to see a little bit of flight, a little bit of activity, bees going out of the hive to relieve themselves. Like I said, it's a dearth time. There's not pollen to go get, unless you've maybe put your bees in the almond fields in California. That's happening right now. And so if your bees are there, then that's kind of one source of pollination. And a lot of beekeepers do that nationwide. But for those who don't do that, backyard beekeepers or people who choose not to go down there, your bees should definitely be getting active. And that's something to pay attention to. And if they're not, well, I would have some questions, First one being, did they survive the winter? And
the other thing is, did they buy a nuke of sleeping bees?
You may have lost them all. Maybe they got frozen in that 12 degrees we had. Sleeping bees.
Have lazy bees.
You could have lazy bees, but I think at least lazy bees want to go to the bathroom. They want to get out there, relieve themselves.
Thing. Do bees actually go to the bathroom?
Yes. Ralph learned something fascinating he wants to share.
I did. Dave, do you know do you know that bees fart?
No, I did not know that. That is absolutely brand new to me. Bees let it rip, huh?
They let it rip.
They cut the cheese, They.
Okay, how do they do this? How is this happening?
Just like any system in the body where you're transferring food out of your body. Bees do go to the bathroom, but a lot of times air builds up in the system, and bees do in fact fart. Now, I don't know if it smells like honey. I'm not quite sure, but I've never gotten close
Just think
enough to
the
a bee
raw
while
honey
it
you
was.
eat probably has been farted on.
I'm assuming not, though. May smell like flowers. I'm not sure, but yes,
Hmm.
they do in fact fart.
Just like
Farting
humans.
bees.
Farting bees.
This is interesting. So, have you ever seen that movie, It's a Quiet Place?
Yes.
Yeah. Very good movie.
Very good.
It's a bummer that the guy dies in the end. Why does he have to die?
Spoiler alert.
Everybody's seen this movie.
Oh, probably. It's been out for like 4 years, but
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's been out for
this is
several
not-
years, so it's not a spoiler
I mean,
anymore.
there's a sequel to it where the husband's not even in it. So I mean, you know,
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
But-
Also good.
it's not like spoiling the end of The Lion King. You know, like I'm sorry, it's not like Mustafa getting attacked by a jackal and barely making it.
Mufasa.
What did I call
Mufasa.
him, Muhammad?
I don't know what you said, but it wasn't correct.
It was close enough. I think he said Musafa, and I think it's Mufasa, which is close enough. I mean, just 2 letters.
Oh, geez. Okay, come on. That's like calling Obi-Wan Ben Kenobi. You know, it's so
Yeah,
close.
exactly.
Okay. All right. Good reference though. Good job.
Yeah, so I learned something. Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of my favorite
Is your
Star
only
Wars
hope?
characters. You know what show I loved? What show I really loved was Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I thought that was an awesome show.
That was
Are
a
they
great
coming
show.
out with a sequel to it?
I think they are. There's
I
talks
don't-
about it.
I think there's rumors.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure though.
I mean, that was a fantastic show.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
The last Star Wars show, Anakra or what do they call it?
Ahsoka, that was better.
Ahsoka?
That was better.
I thought
Yep.
that sucked.
Well, most people love it, so you're in the minority
It
here.
was so dark, and they brought like a demonic thing into it that they hadn't brought into. Like, why do we have to make it demonic? Why does there have to be an evil demonic element to the show? I don't remember that being in part of Star Wars.
I would say maybe the Emperor is borderline like that. At least the original trilogy. He's kind of an intense, scary dude. I think it's in the same vein.
Yeah, he's evil, but not like demonic.
I don't know if we have Force lightning. That's kind of. I
That's
don't
like
know.
Raiden powers, man. That's cool. That's like Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
So people liked the Anakra show.
Yes, a lot of people like Ahsoka. Very much so.
That's how they
And-
pronounce
and-
the name, Ahsoka.
Ahsoka and Andor, also a very good Star Wars show. If you haven't watched it, I would recommend it. Andor.
Was so boring, I wanted to blow my head off.
Wow. No, it's great because it didn't feature Jedi and was actually a compelling story. That's why I liked it. It was unique for Star Wars.
I guess I'm just nostalgic.
There you go. Yep. It's okay.
I
It's okay.
like Return of the. Hey, you're back. I like Return of the Jedi. I like Luke Skywalker. I like Han Solo. I like Darth Vader. That's it.
The OG stuff.
That's what I like. I don't know that I care for the new stuff. But regardless of that, we're talking about the movie A Quiet Place. And my question is, I wonder if those little alien things that eat you, when they hear sound, could hear the bee fart.
I don't recall bees being in the movie. I wonder if they all got killed.
I don't know if they're in the movie or not, but I'm just wondering because those things open up their ear and it goes,
Yeah.
and it can hear everything, right?
That's my impression, Unless
I
you're
don't know,
by a
Ralph, you were
waterfall.
a sci-fi guy. What is it? What are we on to? Are we on to something here, or?
So my argument would be this. This is really interesting because, like, if you think about it, one of the things you see in the movie is that everything is really, really overgrown and the plants have all kind of just, because nobody's taking care of them or anything anymore, which means that pollination is still happening.
That's
so bees
true.
are still a thing. So my question is, what if you hid yourself in like a bee apiary where all that buzzing and noise and everything like that, the aliens wouldn't be able to hear you because of all the
That's an
buzzing.
interesting.
You could
That's an
hide yourself.
interesting.
Either
That's an
I
interesting
think it
thought.
goes one of two ways. Either you're safe, like you're at the waterfall in the movie, and there's just so much noise that you're safe, or it instantly attracts a bunch of monsters and you die. It's one of the two. It's a very safe place, or it's the worst place to be.
I guess it's better to be in a quiet place.
Be in a quiet place.
Ooh, there you go. Look at Ralph. He's got the big play on words.
But I would imagine in that movie, and just in real life, when your bees are coming out of winter, if you have lost any bees, you may need to just buy a new nuke or package, which we've talked about before. Maybe something happened to your queen and you need to get a new queen. But if you have what's called a dead out, where your hive has died for whatever reason, you need to clean it up, inspect it, and perhaps use that same equipment for a new hive. So in this transitional time, you're going to discover, if you haven't already discovered, some dead outs probably, because most beekeepers lose, at least 20% of their hives over the winter. And, if you're in a warmer climate where they can get out more and such, then maybe that's a little better. But as we learned with Charlotte Wiggins, active bees means more hungry bees. And so if your bees are more active, it means they're going to need more food. So you have to prepare for that as well.
I wonder, should people put their bees in a barn?
People have done that. I've actually spoken with some beekeepers here in Washington State that have put their bees in like a shipping container where they
How'd
can.
that work out?
They don't have much, if any, hive loss, but you're also fooling your bees into thinking that it's not. I mean, I would imagine as long as you're not opening the container, right? If you're opening it, then they're going to get cold. But if you are keeping it closed, then they're not going to think it's actually winter, and they're going to continue in their brood cycle, and it'll be like it's almost like it's summer. But you still got to get in there and feed then, because there's no actual pollination for them to do. Like, they can't go get a natural food source. So by fooling your bees on winter, there's pros and cons to that. Maybe you don't have some loss, but also it's not the natural cycle. So your bees may not be as high quality, or, your queen is producing at a more rapid rate. You might have to replace your queen sooner because of that, etc. So there's like some cons to that. And I know that some people are more of the natural mind, or like, that's kind of like fake. That's not the natural way that bees should be treated. So I've heard a lot of pushback against stuff like that, but I've also heard people doing it. So I don't have a strong
we had a
opinion.
guest on a couple of weeks ago who mentioned that there's more bees now than there have ever been in the history of the world.
Yeah.
That
Which is fascinating.
There is no shortage of bees. There is no cause to save the bees, because there's so many people with bees that there is no real risk of
like losing
bees, or like
which is
need to have bees.
Interesting, because at the same time, honey production has been decreasing over the last 5 to 10 years. Honey production has steadily been, at least in the United States, maybe not globally, I'm not sure, but at least in the States, it's been decreasing. So I wonder if some of that is maybe bees increase globally, but maybe they aren't increasing in the States, or because they're increasing, but honey's not. Maybe they're like, the numbers are higher, but people are also losing them quicker, and having to replace them, and not actually getting the honey storage, the honey surplus from them. I'm not sure. It's a very interesting thought, though. We might have to bring someone on to kind of help answer that question.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty interesting. I wonder what it'd be like to do barn bees.
Maybe we'll find a guest who does barn bees or indoor winter beekeeping, and just kind of get their opinion on what they do. I've heard of a guy in Canada that has, I think, like 1,000 hives. He puts them in an indoor barn, but then he freezes the temperature in the barn so that it still feels like winter and they all go into their hive, yet they don't endure the elements of the cold, and so they don't have that, external factor, but they still go through their normal cycle. So
Wow.
that's an interesting premise.
That sounds like an interesting conversation.
Yeah. We'll see if we can't get some people in that to do that kind of thing on the show. Be fun.
Yeah,
Um,
that might be fun.
yeah, but as you're moving into spring here, I would just emphasize you're gonna probably need to feed a lot, and so get some sugar water, get some pollen patties. Be prepared to feed for a month or two as your bees survive, and if you're gonna split, consider when you need to do splitting. March or April, and take care of these bees as they transition out of the harsh winter into the spring, and they're gonna expand. They're gonna bloom in their numbers here, and so be prepared for that.
I'm kind of a believer in, I kind of like this idea of leaving more honey in the hive.
Yeah, more
I
natural
like
food.
this idea of not necessarily feeding with sugar water. I like this idea of, you know, leaving them more honey, providing them honey, which is what they eat, which is what they create to survive, allowing them to eat off of what they've built. And I think that I like that as a methodology.
Yeah,
That really speaks to me.
yeah, that's an important thing. And for everybody listening, you should have two, assuming your hive is big enough to fill two deeps, or maybe a deep and a medium. Those should be full of honey as you enter the winter. That should get them through. And then it might be this final stretch that you need to help them out a little bit, as they begin to get
Yeah.
active. So, yeah, but honey's the best form. It's their natural food source, and we just need to help them out once in a while. Some people need help once in a while. Bees need help once in a while, and
People
that's
need help too. That's why we call our business Honey for Hope.
that's right. So we can help people out who are in need of some help. We can give to charities and noble causes. So support our work if you want to help people out too. Buy our honey, get a pollination service through us. Follow the podcast and what we're doing. Follow us on social media. Yeah,
Because we all need a little help every now and again.
absolutely. The bees need a little help. We need a little help. And then I would also add, kind of as one more thing to transition into springtime, is you're gonna want to do a varroa treatment. March, maybe April, just kind of depending on the strength of your hives and what your pattern is. And so do an opposite treatment of what you did before winter. So don't do the same thing. We don't want the varroa mites to build up a resistancy to the exact same treatment all the time. So, and which I would recommend, check out our interview with Randy Oliver on some various treatments. He talked about that, but you can do oxalic acid, fulmaric acid, put in like apivar strips, or there's some treatments that are more organic based with essential oils you can do. Follow the directions that are given for those. That's one of the things I've heard on people who make mistakes, is they just don't follow the directions given. And so follow your directions for your varroa treatment. But definitely treat in the spring coming out of the winter for any varroa that may have lived through the winter and you want to hopefully kill them. So just consider that as you enter into the spring.
That's true. And I agree 100%. The show with Randy Oliver was actually really a great show as well. And if you really look at organic beekeeping, he's really a pioneer.
Yeah.
In that field, and what they're doing with, bees that are, resistant to varroa mite. That's pretty awesome. I think a great combination would be Alan and Alicia, who we spoke with yesterday. and Randy Oliver. I'd love to see,
Get a
what
combo.
does the combination be if you take the wild bee that's surviving the winter, that's surviving the cold, that's doing this in their own hives, right? That's not living in a man-made hive, that's surviving organically throughout the winter, which surprises me to death that that happens and how awesome that is. And you take the wild bee, which I just love the idea of the wild honeybee, and then you take that bee and you start, supporting it genetically through what Randy Oliver is doing. And do
Hmm.
you start to now create a genetic version of bees that's one wild and strong, can survive the winters, is a very hardy bee, is a very tough bee, but also now has a resistance to varroa. And if you can create that kind of bee, that seems like a very, amazing bee that one might have in their hives. It seems like a very specialized bee.
Yeah,
And I just the bee genetics just really excites me from
it's
just the
fascinating.
standpoint of what you can do and what's out there. And the amazing thing about this podcast is just all of the different worlds that we touch. We are touching so many different worlds, we're touching so many different spaces. Whether you're talking to somebody who raises Russian bees that are a little bit more temperament with the cold, or you're talking to somebody who's working on natural, feral bees, which is just an exciting, wild idea in and of itself, to somebody who's just working on, genetics and focusing on varroa-free bees, to, somebody who's been in the industry for 30 years and says, don't get into beekeeping, don't touch beekeeping. If you want to help the bees plant flowers, but stay out of it. I mean, it's just incredibly interesting, the variety of guests, the variety of knowledge, but also the place in which the guest actually launches from. I just
Mm,
find that fascinating. How many guests are just really excited about bees and excited about having bees and excited about supporting people on their bee journey. And then you can have the next guest that's been in the business for 25, 30 years, and they don't get into it. It's the worst thing you can do. And just the variation of people, and just like the folks we talked to yesterday, been in beekeeping for 108 years, right? They're family, fifth generation beekeepers,
yeah.
right? Incredible. 108 years keeping bees, on some level within the family. Looking back at, Grandpa's diary, where we're talking about, what we're struggling, with keeping bees back during World War II.
Mm,
Just the amazing journey that we go on this podcast, from week to week. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about Star Wars and the shows, or if we're talking about, the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, and I can't remember if we got our scores right, because that was something we were
my
talking about.
I went 24-20, ended up being 25-22. So pretty close. I was keeping track during the game. And yeah. When the Chiefs had 16, I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to hit my score. But then we got close. So,
Yeah. It was a good game. It was a good game. It was a good football game. It ended the way I think the majority of people thought it was going to be. But that's the point. Like, we have a good time on the show, but we really cross a lot of different, just avenues and thoughts. And just, it's really exciting to just really kind of take almost like a time machine snapshot of the guests that we have on the show, and just how intelligent they are, but how each one is so different.
yeah.
From Rainy Day Bees. I mean, what an awesome show that was. Two hives in the backyard, allowing people to, experience beekeeping for themselves, just all of that good stuff. And I just love the show. Anyways, we're bringing it in for a close. We're bringing it in for a landing. Today's show was all about, uh, what do you need to do to get ready, from winter to spring? What does that transition look like? There was some great tips on the call. Don't get into your hives unless they're above 60 degrees. Don't remove, regularly get into your hives. Really 50 is where you want to be for, that. But, don't remove frames, just be careful of your hives and make sure it's a good experience. Scott, any final thoughts you got with us before we leave today's call?
Nah, not a ton here. Just I would emphasize feed your bees, make sure they're good. You want to give if they've gotten this far through the season, you want to fully get them through winter. So give them that extra nudge of food, supplemental feed, whether it's a pollen patty or sugar water. Just get your bees through the finish line, and then watch them take off into the spring, which is when it starts getting a little more fun and exciting. And so just kind of help bees get through the last little bit here. And, stay tuned for more awesome guests on the show. We look forward to having some great interviews. And, keep joining back. Rate, review, follow along. If you happen to be a beekeeper yourself and you're interested in talking about something specific on this show, feel free to reach out to us. Scott@honeyforhope.org. I would love to chat with you and see what that's like. We're just excited to do this show regularly and have some great guests on here.
And it's a blast. And we got
It
two
is.
great guys like ourselves that run the show. So it's a lot of fun. Listen, we're back every Thursday. Join us. If you like this, give us a like, give it a share. I'm your host, Dave Wescott. Follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere we're a social. Follow us on YouTube. Give us a like. Remember, Honey for Hope is about changing the world and taking our profits and donating them back to incredible causes that help change the world. So join us today. Scott, thanks for a great call. It was awesome hanging out. And we'll see you next